I'm back to Gavin, POLITICO. I'm joined by Callista Gingrich, the author of the new kids book, Yankee Doodle Dandy. This is the third that you've done so far with this Ellis the Elephant character. And what, maybe this paints me as a pessimist, I'm so surprised that they're doing well, not because they're not well done. I just always assume that, I used to teach history and I know how hard it is. I always assume that kids find history and our system of government pretty boring, but these are doing pretty well.
Well, yes,
You're
thank
on
you.
your third.
I am. Yankee Doodle Dandy is the third volume in my Ellis the Elephant series. And this is a series that offers a guided tour of history for 4 to 8-year-olds. And in Yankee Doodle Dandy, Ellis the Elephant, who is my time-traveling pachyderm, discovers the American Revolution and how America became a free and independent nation.
You know, so obviously, besides just probably this just being enjoyable for you, I assume that you feel as if there's a gap missing, meaning that kids don't know enough about American history. Is that true? And if so, explain how that's problematic.
Yes, I think it is true. I write these books because I love America, and I believe America truly is an exceptional nation. And I think it's more important now than ever that our children understand just how special this country is. And unfortunately today, many of our kids are failing to learn our American history, including our founding principles and values, and instead learning revisionist or politically correct history, and as a result really have no idea about the basic history of this nation. And if we look at recent statistics, it's really quite sobering. Only 1 in 3 fourth graders today can tell us the purpose of the Declaration of Independence. And fewer than 50% of all fourth graders know why George Washington was an important American leader. So we have a lot of work to do, and we owe it to our kids to give them the tools they need at an early age to begin to understand the greatness of this nation.
When we talk about sort of politically correct history, I'm curious, how do you, in drafting these books, walk the line between, I mean, obviously there's plenty in our history and in everybody's history that's not as glamorous as perhaps it could have been. How do you walk the line in writing these? Because obviously you are writing for a younger audience, right. To kind of create this sense of patriotism that you want to, while also paying lip service, if you want to maybe some of the things about American history that weren't so great.
Right. Well, I look at the pivotal moments that have defined this historic period, and this period is the American Revolution. And so you have to tell the story. It is a war, after all. So I look at pivotal moments like the Boston Tea Party. I look at Betsy Ross as an influential woman. I look at the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And we do cover the shot heard around the world at the Old North Bridge. So we're telling the story of the war. It can't be horrifying, obviously, because these are children, but we do want to include the most important details. And I also want to feature places where families can visit to learn more about this time period. Places like Independence Hall, Mount Vernon, Valley Forge, places where the history really comes alive. And there's a resource section at the back of this book where parents and teachers can learn more about these historic places.
Well, sort of relatedly, I wondered, I thought about this in preparing to talk to you about, so there is sort of this gap in, I think, a lot of children's knowledge about history, ours and others. Then there's also this whole reality, which is that, 9 out of 10 Americans don't like government or Congress. And I'm sure kids see that. I'm sure kids see their parents responding negatively to what they see in the news, responding negatively to what they see on TV, to what their elected officials are doing. So you combine both what you were talking about the lack of knowledge about history, coupled with seeing their parents being incredibly frustrated at this system of government. What is that? I mean, not that Congress has ever had like an amazing approval rating, but what is this sort of current situation going to lead to when these kids grow up, when they were raised in an environment when government, 9 out of 10 people couldn't stand their government?
Well, that's why these books are important. They're about patriotism and our nation's humble beginnings. And they're not meant to be conservative books or Republican books, but pro-American books.
It is Ellis the Elephant.
Ellis the Elephant.
It's not a donkey.
It's not a donkey, but I really hope these books will be seen as a celebration of our patriotism and of our nation.
And are you concerned that kids now are not seeing their parents revere the government? I mean, obviously their country, but their government specifically as positively as they should be?
I think so. I think,
Unless parents are really good at hiding it when they're yelling at cable news all day long.
right. I think children are exposed to the media every day and they watch their parents very carefully. So we want to try through these books to build a positive attitude toward our country, who we are, why we're exceptional, why we need to remain exceptional.
I'm going to try to get you off topic for 2 questions before I let you go. One, your husband, Newt Gingrich, how's Crossfire doing? Do you watch it all the time? Are you impressed?
I love Crossfire. Newt's having a great time. He wants it to be both educational and enjoyable, and I think they're doing a great job.
Are we going to see Ellis the Elephant on that show?
Anything's possible.
Possibly. I'm not going to bother asking you whether or not he's going to run in 2016 because I feel like that's a fool's errand at this point. But that conversation has started. Given your experience with him during the 2012 campaign, when you think about the spouse's role, be it woman or man, what advice would you give somebody going into that role about how to handle the pressure, how to handle the heat, even though it's technically on your spouse? What did you learn from it, and what were he to run again, or to anybody else whose spouse might run? What's something that you wish you would have known that you know now that you would tell somebody else?
Well, you really have to keep your focus, and you have to keep your attention on the issues that are really important to the future of the country. And you have to ignore all the noise that doesn't matter. I think that's really the most important thing. It's very hard some days. And
I never believe anybody who says, like, oh, that stuff doesn't bother me. And by the way, like, even if I already say that, I think it bothers everybody when somebody says something mean about you or your husband. So then how do you, as best as possible, ignore that?
Well, it's part of the process.
Because no one's got that bulletproof.
That's right.
Skin,
And some days are better than others, obviously. But you do have to keep your best attitude, be positive. You gain a lot of energy from people because the American people are overall positive. We have a can-do spirit in this nation, and we want to see that remain. And when you're out with the people, you gain energy, and that's what keeps you going.
So you enjoyed it? Because I see spouses, again, husband or wife, alongside their campaigning spouse. I'm like, they must just be miserable, just smiling, even though like they may not want to be there. Obviously, maybe they do want to be there.
It's really a blessing to be a part of the process.
Yeah.
To travel across this country, to see so many wonderful people, experience so many things. Hard to complain.
That's the right attitude. All right, Callista Gingrich, the book is Yankee Doodle Dandy. It is your 3rd, hopefully, best-selling book. And you said that there's a 4th. I hope we can not spilling too many secrets. What is your 4th going to be about?
My next book will be called From Sea to Shining Sea, and we'll look at the period from the early stages of the Republic, from the Constitutional Convention through the great expedition of Lewis and Clark.
With Ellis the Elephant.
That's right.
All right. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.